All right. Well, welcome to the Let's Talk Destiny talk show. And I'm so honored today to have a very special guest with me because she is one of the few people that has interviewed me. And though it was a long time ago, but I still remember very well our conversation. And so today, as we all know, Let's Talk Destiny is a purpose-driven forum. And so today's guest is very special to me because her purpose is so unique from anything that I've had on the show thus far, but it is extremely important. And it was important to me to invite Sharisa here today because I wanted to make sure that she and I had this conversation before the month of May ended, the month that we've set aside to honor motherhood. And meant to have her before now, but life happens and sometimes you can't get done what you want to do. But I think it's very important that we have this conversation because there are so many people who I talk to on a regular basis who always pushing the honor your mother, no matter what your mother did. If she set you on fire, whatever the case may be, you still are supposed to honor her once the fire gets put out. And so I was talking with my sister, she's a family therapist, and she works with a lot of teens. And she was like, Jamie, you would not believe some of the stories, the things that these children have dealt with. And so my guest today specializes in what she calls mama trauma transformation. And that really just like spoke to my spirit because there's a lot of adult daughters right now who are still suffering from trauma they experienced at the hands of the woman who gave birth to them. And so today I'm going to let her introduce herself, tell you her passion, her purpose, and about her organization and so forth and so on. So today I want to welcome to the Let's Talk Destiny platform, Miss Sharisa Robertson. Now, I hope I'm saying your first name correct.
Sharisa, you're close. It's so funny. I answered to Sharisa because that's like my second name. Because either people call me Sharisa or Sharisa.
I
So
know
it's
the
okay.
feeling.
But it's Sharisa like Teresa, but it's okay.
All
So
right.
first of all, I thank you for allowing me to come on, especially with my message, because I know sometimes people are like, oh my God, and you know how I post, you know, what my business name is and everything. So thank you for taking me as is. Because some
Yes.
people are kind of taken back by that. But I am Sharisa Robertson. And thank you for calling me a specialist. When I had joined the thing, it said Sharisa, it said Mama Trauma Specialist. I was like, oh my gosh, you called me a specialist. So I try to be, humble with that title because it means a lot when you're talking about this issue, and I don't take it lightly.
Right.
Discussing it as I give, my insight and which is also my opinions for daughters who are healing. But I'm a mother of three myself. I share my story about being abused by my mother, which started when I was 15. And I think back, it actually started before then, but more so, it was more of an emotional disconnect when I was younger that I now realize as an adult. But the abuse started when I was 15 when her and my father separated. And it went on until my adulthood. I'll be 41 in a couple of months. And I don't talk to my mother anymore. We haven't talked in maybe about a year or two, which is not uncommon for us. We may talk. We can sometimes I talk for years, or I see her when I see her. So it's never like and we've had a couple times we would talk for like every day, and we were like having, good things were kind of good. But it ended all the way. It went on to, like I would say, to my 30s.
Okay.
And by the time I hit, becoming a mother, and you're trying to heal for some things, and the older that you get, I began to just decide to heal. And my way of healing is kind of different from what everybody else do, because I kind of go against what society say. Like you say, honor your mother. And I define that a little bit differently than most people. And I'm gonna be the one that tell you opposite from others. I'll be the one to say, F your mama.
Yeah.
That's just my stance on it. You can love her, but when you get in that mode where you like F it, forget it, you kind of focus on yourself and you let go of that thing or that person that you've been trying to hold on so tight to, and you begin to do what you need to do for yourself. So that's just
I absolutely understand that. And it's funny because like you say, you were kind of surprised that I would like invite you here. And I think because, I'm an ordained minister and blah, blah, blah. I think also I'm a very real person.
You are.
And it's one of the reasons why I'm constantly butting heads, even with the church world,
Mm-hmm.
uh, religion. So, because some things like just don't make sense to me. And so I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to just agree with it. Now, when I was a child, I didn't have much choice. But
Mm-hmm.
as I got older, if I didn't agree with it, I'm not going to say I agree with it just because you told me to agree with it. And one of the things about our society and in general and our culture specifically, we don't like to deal with the hard issues. We don't like to deal with okay, this is something that will make us uncomfortable. You know, for years we've heard what goes on in this house stays in this house,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever Uncle Bill did to you, you don't talk about it. Or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you go to school with all these bruises and whatever you tell the teacher you fell down. Like, we just never wanted to deal with reality. And then we grow into women who don't know how to deal with reality because we've held in so much. And so one of the
Mm-hmm.
things that attracts me to what you're doing, though you may say it differently than what I would say it, I'm all for it because I think, you know, my philosophy is until you feel what you feel, you can't begin to heal. And so when you
Exactly.
get to that point, you say, I'm just sick of this crap, then I'm going to start focusing on me, then you can start healing. So one of the things I did want to ask you is, you said you have 3 children.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel about when you became of the age to become a mom? Did you have any fear about the relationship that you had with your mother, how it would affect you as a mother?
So I didn't want to be a mother. First of all, it was because I just automatically assumed that I was, I can possibly do the same things to my kids. Plus, I wasn't mother correctly, so how am I supposed to mother kids? But things happen. It happened, and happened 3 times. So, but the fear, man, I doubt myself so much, even to this day. And man, last year I cried so much because my oldest is going to college, and then it was that fear of now she's going out into the world. Did I
Right.
prepare her? The things I did wrong because I made mistakes too. And she can even say, we've had conversations that I have done some abusive things as well. So when I'm being honest and calling out my mom and other mamas, I call out myself too because I did some things that was not correct. Some was a conscious thing and some was unconscious. And
Right.
some was because I didn't know better. Some was because I was too wrapped up in my pain to even really care. And that's the kind of conversations that mothers need to have. Yes,
Absolutely.
um, I think a lot of bad mothers come from having a lack of support. Um, Sometimes it comes from not having the daddies in the home, or the daddies are in the home. Either the daddy is scared of the mama because he's being abused by the mama too, or because he don't want to cause no issues. He's trying to keep the house as happy as possible, or he's just always at work, or he's not tending to the kids. He just pay the bills, but he's not there as well. So the mother is still carrying the load of the kids. Because we have racism, we have patriarchy, we have all those things, poverty that does contribute to that. But at the end of the day, for us to really get through this issue, we still have to address, yes, these things happen. Yes, my mother has a story, but that doesn't take away from the things that she has done. And sometimes, to be honest, I think some mothers abuse their kids too because they didn't want to have kids. Their kids remind them of the freedom that they could have had, especially with their daughters. Their
Yeah.
daughters remind them of who they could have been, what they could have done. They see their daughters and see the mistakes their daughters made and make them think about the mistakes that they made. And instead of dealing with their own issues personally, they take it out on their kids. And parents, we look at our kids as our property. So
Yeah.
if something is your property, you're going to treat your property however you want to treat your property. And
Yeah.
how I always gauge it is like people always say, your mother did the best she could. And to a certain extent, that's just true. But it's also a crutch. Because just because you do the best that you could, what is our definition of best?
Right.
Because
Right.
it goes
Right.
beyond just providing a household, because you have to do that. It's not even just a moral thing, it's a law. Plus, she got to
That's
eat too.
right.
So
I
she
have
has to
to
eat
clothe
too.
you. I have to feed you. I have
Right.
to give you a roof. Yeah.
Right, you have to do that because, especially the Black community, we don't want nobody in our business anyway. So at the very least, we're gonna at least have that house looking like it's okay,
Yeah.
even though things is a mess in the inside. But sometimes our mothers give us what they can only give us. Sometimes they give us what they want to give us.
Yeah.
And if my mom can go to work and hold her tongue and not go off at work, if she can control her anger with her man that she's trying to keep because she cherishes him, because she don't want to be alone, or
Yes.
she wants that man, so why can't she do the same to me because she know there's no consequence? She knows she think of me as her property, and we have to really, we can't just throw everything about mothers under being imperfect. There are many imperfect mothers. There are many mothers who make mistakes. There are many mothers who don't know how to mother. Because I'm one of them. I struggle every day of, am I doing this right? But
Right.
at the same time, there are many mothers who are consciously abusing their children because they know they can get away with it. Because they know this is something they can dump on because this is their child. And what stays in this house goes on in the house. We have to, if we're gonna humanize a mother and say, well, she's human, she makes mistakes, and you can humanize them and say that because humans sometimes do mess up things because they know they can get away with it. So it can go both ways. And there are a lot of mothers out there that know that they can get, there's no consequence. There's no village. And when people do know, they don't want to start an argument. They don't want the mama to go off on them.
Yeah.
Or they don't want to, well, just come on so we can have this family outing and it's no drama. And they put the burden on the victim, on the daughter, where
That's right.
nobody's never confronting the person that's doing the abuse. They
Yeah.
never go to the mother. They go to you. And you, as a young daughter, you learn young that it's your responsibility to still honor your mother, to still listen to what she say, to still love her unconditionally, which you already do, to still cherish her, but nobody's telling that mother to cherish her daughter.
All right now.
Ask for your daughter's forgiveness. It's always, you need to forgive your, every time somebody posts things on Facebook, I always see it's always daughters, kids, forgive your parents because you only get one parent, or to heal, you have to forgive. They always throw the forgiveness. Not saying you don't need to forgive, but it's always pushed to forgive on the victim to forgive who abused them, but never
That's
the
right.
parents
That's right.
asking for forgiveness from their kids.
You're
And
absolutely right. You're absolutely
learn how
right.
to forgive themselves. And you can't push me into forgiveness if you're not even letting me feel, speak, talk about what I've been through with my mother, because we're so focused on that title, because mothers are the backbone of the family. We know that. And women do carry a lot. We know that as well. But in the midst of all that, women can be abusive for
You're
whatever reason.
absolutely right. And it's interesting because I don't have daughters, I have sons. I wanted some daughters, but they never came. And then I said, well, I'll have granddaughters. They never came. I've got 5 grandsons. So I keep saying send them back, but they don't send them back. But I remember I was going through some things emotionally, and I was verbally abusive to my son. I didn't realize it. I didn't consider it abusive until he was like late teens, early 20s. And he said to me, Mom, I remember when I used to try to get you to help me with my homework, and you would yell at me so much, and I would just be shaken. I would be scared. And I cried because and then I had flashbacks to those moments and time, and I apologized to him. Now, he had just as much right to say, Mom, you hurt me, you damaged me, you abused me, or whatever, and ask me to forgive him, as I did to say, well, I'm your mom, and sometimes I did the best I could. Like, he has a right to feel vindicated. He has a right to feel like his feelings matter. And he should not just say, well, but that's my mom, and whatever she did is okay. And it's not okay. And that's one reason why I wanted to talk to you today, because it's not okay. And I think about, I don't know people to the extreme that, as I mentioned, that my sister knows because she works, with these kids or whatever. But I've heard of stories. I have not met people personally, but I've talked with people who said, oh, when I was little, my mom used to beat me so bad I couldn't even get out of bed for days. And then when family members knew about it, they kept saying, you don't talk about what goes on in this house. And then once you heal physically, they think that's the end of it. But it's not the end of it. It's not the end of it.
Don't go on to be successful. Oh, wasn't that bad because you became this or you became that. You're not crazy. You're not on drugs, or you're not in jail, or you're not this. I'm still messed up. Now I need therapy. And it's all about if I'm gonna go seek that therapy now, because I gotta but when your son came to you, every parent has that moment where when their child tell them about themselves from the past, either you deal with it or you get confrontational about it. And most parents, most mothers get confrontational. And even though what you did may be considered abuse, it was still a mistake that you had to learn, because back then it's how you talk to your kids. Cuss them out, yell at them, because an overwhelmed mother can be an abusive mother.
Right.
You're overwhelmed, you're tired, you got the world on your back, you got this going on, you got your own needs that need to be catered to. The kids is running them up. Kids getting your nerves. Kids are crazy. And I'm not denying that kids are not a handful.
Yeah.
Listen, my kids call me mean still. All that I do and all this mama and daughter, all this, they still call me mean. I'm still working on what I need to do correctly also. Sometimes I'm like, listen, I don't care. I am what I am. Then sometimes I'm like, okay, Sharisa, you can't be up here talking about this on Facebook. Then here you go. But sometimes it's justified. Like, listen, be quiet, get out my room. I don't want to hear it because you have to set boundaries with your kids. And that's the struggle of being a mom, is setting those boundaries, but, and I really prefer the word standard, but not crossing it. See, you have to learn how to not sacrifice your kids for your freedom and for your peace of mind, but not sacrifice yourself where you can't have your freedom and your peace of mind. And you're never going to get that perfect, because it's not, who knows how to really do that. So it's a thing, but more so on my story, because I think people confuse that. Well, you know, my mom may have cussed me out and beat me, even though it's a thin line with the whooping and discipline and stuff too, that, you know, it's cultural too, but it's a thin line with that.
Yeah.
But there are mothers out there, like my mother called me out my name. Lots of times I got thrown out the house, like in pajamas in the middle of the night. She would come home drunk. Like, she would go to work and I wouldn't see her. We wouldn't see her. I'm the oldest of two. I have a younger brother. She would go to work. And this is even before her and my father had separated. She would go to work and we wouldn't see her. Because after work, she's at her friend's house or she's at the club, and she come home 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, she drunk, and she'd get up and do it again. Like, my dad would cook. My dad, like, when they separate, I thought we were going to starve. I'm like, I don't know if this lady can cook. Like, we're going to be over here hungry. Like, I don't know what's going to happen to us. Like, we're going to die. So, like, she was a decent cook. But she would come home drunk. And if she didn't come home drunk, she'll wake me up. She'll always beeline into my room every time she came home drunk. Wake me up, maybe 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Cuss me out, jump on me, hit on me, and cry about her issues. It's like she would just dump it all on me and yell at me. Then my alarm would go off, and now I got to get up and go to school. And instead of her taking me to school, she goes upstairs. She's knocked out. So I got to get up with all that on my back,
Right.
catch 2 buses to school. And so I'm in school not realizing, I know now that I was depressed.
Yeah.
And if she didn't come in my room drunk, she came home drunk with a man. There were so many men that came in and out of our house. And I have a story that I always tell, that before her and my father were getting ready to separate. They both cheated on each other. I don't know who cheated with who first. But my mom, these 2 guys that she was messing around with, they would come pick her up from the house. They wouldn't come in the house, but they would like come in the driveway, and she would leave with her, you know, look, they call it the spend night bag.
Yeah.
And she would you know, be gone for days, like days. And we wouldn't know where she was at. She wouldn't say nothing. That's why I was talking about there was no emotional connectedness up until then. Because even when I was younger, like, I didn't know about sex. I didn't know about my period. I didn't know about a lot of things. Like, she just did what she did. She would just always be gone. I had a mama, but she wasn't there. And so the 2 men she was messing around with, so after we finally separated from my dad, we had our own house. 3 days later, after being in a new house, I wake up in the morning and I'm sitting on the edge of my bed. My door is open. And I see my mother. She came from her room, and her room was on the other side of the kitchen. So she's walking through, and she walked past my room, which is directly from the living room. And it's a man with her. So it's 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning. That means that he spent the night. Man I never seen before. Now, she just left my dad 3 days ago. Now, I knew she was doing what she was doing because the men would call my house and they would pick her up. Never saw him, but, you know, I'm not stupid. I know the deal, what's going on.
Right.
So they didn't say nothing. She lets him out. By the time she walks back to go to her room, she looks in and see me, and I'm on the edge of my bed crying. Now, I'm 15. And her words, and please excuse my language, but for you to get the whole effect, she said, this is her motherfucking house. She can do what the fuck she want to do. If I have a problem with what she's doing, I can stay with my daddy and his hoes and judge him.
Wow.
3 days later, she walked out her room with another man. And this time I didn't cry because I knew if I cried, I was going to get cussed out.
Yeah.
And that's how she talked to me. So you can't come to me and say my mom did the best she could. No, I don't accept that. I don't accept that. Now, I'm not saying that I understood why, She was a woman trying to get her freedom. She was a woman who was hurt from her marriage, her 15-year marriage coming to an end. She was a mother who was now becoming a single mom. But people always say, there is no manual to be a mother. You don't have to know how to be a mother to know that you don't call your child a bitch. You don't know how.
Some things are just common sense. Like,
yeah, you don't have to be a good mother or know how to mother to know that you don't bring no men in the house. You don't have to know how to be a good mother to know that you don't say that to your daughter when she just seen a man come out your room. Then a couple of days later, another man come out your room. And then throughout the whole time I lived with her, I stopped counting at 20 men. I stopped counting. She would have sex with the door open. And if I closed her doors, I couldn't take hearing anymore. I would get cussed out. She would make me ask men for money and say my dad ain't paying child support because she wanted money for something else, even though my dad was giving her child support. And I make us like ask these men for money. They would like say no. And then I'm like, I feel bad. I'm like, my dad's paying child support.
yeah.
She would make me sometimes cook breakfast for her and her man. And I would have to make them breakfast and serve it to them in her bedroom. It's condoms on the floor, panties on the floor. The room smell of sex and they naked underneath the bed. You don't have to know how to mother. Yeah. Now, maybe she didn't know what to say to me when she came back to see me crying, and maybe her shame made her react the way that she reacted, but you still don't know how to, even with her not knowing what to say, that wasn't it. She could have just hugged me. She could have just said, I know you don't like it. Even she would say, this is my house, I'm gonna do what I want to do. I'm sorry that you hurt. It could have been anything, or she could have just not said nothing.
I understand what you're saying. And the thing is that too often in situations like that, we automatically jump to wanting to justify why a mother behaves the way she does, or yes. We want to make excuses. She's stressed and she's, but as stressed as you are, whatever is going on with you, that is not your child's fault. And this is why I was so quick to apologize when my son said that to me, which I should have done years before, but I had like so much going on. But when he brought it back to my attention, I stopped right then and I apologized. And because it's like, no matter what I was dealing with, I ended up, I'd say my son was maybe 3 or 4 when I ended up in the mental health unit for major depression and anxiety. So yes, that could have been an explanation, but it was not an excuse. Because if things were that bad for me, then I should have said to somebody else in my family or somebody I was close to, I need a break. Can you come and help me? So there's no justification or excuse for a mother, a parent, period. But since we're talking about mothers, to abuse verbally or physically, to abuse their children. There's no excuse for that. Sharisa, did you have a question you wanted to ask?
I don't have a question. I'm sorry. They all left now, so I can be on here. Hey. I've enjoyed this. This has been awesome. But just to chime in, I don't have kids, but I can relate so much to what you said. Sharisa is your name?
Sharisa.
I can relate so much. Just as far as like my childhood, not only that, but what I'm going through now from my ex-boyfriend and then my brother currently. As far as their kids, like I can really relate to what you said, and it's so true. And I don't think they really think the impact that it has on the kids. And I really feel like even for myself, I don't think my parents realized, because I knew back in the day, like the traumas that went on, I don't think they realized the impact it would have on us today, but it really does. So like, I really thank you for what you said, because I can relate to so much of your story. This really needs to be heard, Miss Jamie. I'm telling you, this needs to be heard.
I'm definitely going to share it. As I said, I wish I could connect to Facebook right now while we're speaking, but I'm having.
And then not only that, but the raw emotion, like, and I feel like in myself, like, how like I vent, but it's like to feel that raw emotion, like I could just feel her raw emotion, like from the hurts, from what she went through, like I can really feel that. So can you imagine how many people that are really dealing with this or have went through this that need to hear these types of things and really feel
and the thing is, like Sharisa is about to be 40, I think she said.
Yep,
and you can still feel that hurt. You can still feel that pain from her childhood.
Yes.
So even though she's become a mother and she's helping other adult women to heal from their, the pain is still there. You can hear it.
Absolutely.
And it's just like you said, how many thousands hundreds of thousands of
Yes.
women right today
Yes.
are dealing with that. Because as I said from the beginning, we are so quick to make excuses for people. And I remember mentioning to someone a couple of weeks ago that I was going to have a young lady come on the show and talk about the mothers that don't really deserve to be honored for Mother's Day.
Right.
And they said they were extremely disappointed that I would do that. Of course, you know me well enough to know if you know me 5 minutes, you know I could care less.
Right.
But,
We know.
and pretty much that's what I said. You don't have to listen to show. You don't have to talk to me. You don't have to do nothing. Bye. But it's a reality that needs to be dealt with. And we always want to illuminate all the positive things. We want to talk about these mothers that dropped out of school so they could take care of the kids. We want to talk about the mothers that, you know, give so much to make sure their kids have everything they need.
And those are the mothers that's fed up though.
Yes.
They keep sacrificing, they get pissed, and who they gonna take it out on? The kid that they sacrifice for. Because who's there? The kid.
Yes. And so,
you know what
I thought about. I don't even have biological kids, but like that's where I'm at with. It's like I'm fed up with it. But these are not even my kids. Like this is not even a responsibility that I have to take on. But I feel like that. So I'm like, when I say I can feel her pain, I really can. And I've never birthed a child of a day in my life.
But
I feel like I have to go.
It's like we're all women still mother. Even if you're not a mother, we still mother in some type of way. And even our mothers, most of our mothers that are abusive were abused daughters.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, everybody may not be a mother, but we're all somebody's daughter, and we all have a mom. And it's usually a history of it from grandma, great grandma. And I do understand that I am afforded I guess a possibility of change and healing more so than back then. So I can't, you can judge to a certain extent, but at the same time, it could still be it still need to be more responsibility. I think if they were more accountable, even everything because of what they were dealing with, what was going on, it could have been a little bit of changes because it still wouldn't have been right. But my mother just been emotionally unavailable, which is still a form of abuse. I could deal with that better. I can work on trying to forgive her and understand, like, dang, she was tired, she was this, but for the actual, like, direct abuse, it's different because, like I said, it was financial. It was, I have stories for days, money, all kinds of stuff. Like, she was taking my money, stealing school money that I had for school that my dad was giving her. Now she's on the phone talking and laughing about how she's taking my money, and me and my dad don't know because she's telling me he's not giving me money, and she's telling him she's giving me money. And I worked for her too. Funniest thing, she was my mom was like a hard worker though. She ran 3 group homes, so I ended up working for her like when I was in my early 20s. She would talk about me at work to co-workers, like she's my boss and my mama. They coming up to me telling me what my mama said about me. That's why I say, like, people have to stop sweeping everything together, but we honor our mothers that are abusive by I ain't beat my mama butt. That's honor, because she had to be anybody else on the street, she would have got it.
Yes.
She would have got it. So that's honoring first and foremost. And people always get upset when I say that, but it's the truth because she's another human being. And daughters usually still see their mother as their mother.
Yeah.
You don't want to go against that. Don't nobody want to be the daughter that cuss out their mama, that fight, argue with their mama. We don't want that. And when the daughter does walk away, she's usually then did everything possible. It's like a last resort. Because the daughter's going to keep offering herself to her mama. She's going to keep sacrificing herself for her mama. She's going to keep, because you want your mother to heal, because you think your healing's going to come from her healing. But we fail to realize we're adults now. We have a choice. You can heal without her.
Come on here.
That's
you don't
right.
have to wait for her. She can't fix it no more anyways, because it's too much damage that has taken place. And she can't, her apology may not mean nothing to you now.
Yeah.
And even if she does come and ask for your forgiveness, you don't even really have to take it, or you can take it and still keep it moving. Don't want her in your life because of what has happened. And you have that choice. They act like, oh, well, she apologized, she changed. I still don't have to want to have nothing to do with her because she's still my abuser. I forgive her, I let her go, but I moved on because after a while you get so detached from trying to have a mama. You done lived your life and you done moved on that you don't even care about having no mama no more.
Because your healing, your healing is not connected to her.
It's not, no, and that's a lot of
you can say, your healing is your healing.
They think, oh, if I'm healing, that means me and my mama's healing. No, you're healing, honey, because more than likely your mama not ready to heal, because for you to heal and you to heal with her, you have to go to her and tell her what she did. And she don't want to hear. She can't hear it, because even if she did want to heal, sometimes they do so much. It's so hard to bounce. It's hard to face that. I'm pretty sure it's hard for my mother to hear these things.
Yeah.
That she either gonna face it or she gonna keep tucking it.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot to deal with. It's a lot to admit, because she has to admit what she's done wrong. Then she's gonna have to admit that who probably hurt her.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the mistakes that she made, and the mistakes that people that she loved, what they done to her. So it's a cycle of confrontation that our mothers really can't handle.
Now let me ask you this question. How did you decide to tell your daughters about the situation with you and your mom?
They kept asking about my mother, because I wouldn't see her. I wouldn't really talk about it. They see their dad's mother all the time. She's very active. She's almost like my mama. And it was always like, where your mama at? Or when they see us, or like we do go to family house. Like I used to go to my family house a lot. I don't anymore. I wouldn't talk, like I'll be there with my mother, but I'm not talking to my mom. And if it is, it's like a hey or a hi, but I'm in the room kicking with my auntie and my cousins. I'm not kicking it with my mama. I'm not talking to my mom. I'm not hugging and kissing my mama, but I'm hugging and kissing aunties, some of them I don't mess with either. But so so it's like, so it's like, why you don't talk to your mom, or why your mother doesn't call, or why she's not buying them stuff for Christmas, or why she's not talking to them like his mother is. His mother called, picked them up, take them to the movie. My mama doesn't do that. To this day, she does not do that. She don't know nothing about my kids. Even in between the times when we did have a relationship, or however long that relationship lasts, she wasn't active enough to get to know about anything about my kids. Even like all through COVID, my daughter graduated last year. She didn't call. She got her number. She didn't even call and text her and say, like, happy graduation. None of that. You don't have to go through me. You got her number.
Yeah.
Just go communicate. But she'll tell everybody I'm keeping my kids from her, which if I did, I have all rights to do. And at one point in time, she was heavily involved with my kids. Like she would come get my daughter when she's a baby, and I got a lot of my pictures that came from her, and then it just stopped. And it kind of stopped because I wouldn't let her go around there because she's smoking cigarettes. She has one man now, but this man got a lot of friends. It's always men at her house, and I didn't want my daughter around a bunch of men.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I know him, and he kind of suspect, but I know him. but his friends, his son friends, and all these grown men, I don't want them around because I can't trust her judgment because I know my mama.
Right.
And if something happens on her watch, whether she knew about it or not, I can't take that chance. I'm lucky. I was never like molested. I was molested by a cousin, but like not by none of the men she had in the house. So luckily none of that ever happened. And I'm thankful about that. But it's so many layers. So you honor your mother just by honoring yourself. You don't honor her by just doing what she wants you to do and letting her walk all over you and carrying her pain. No, because that dishonors you, her, and motherhood.
Yeah.
Honor her by not letting her dishonor you. You put yourself first.
I like that.
Her healing.
Yeah.
Whether she knows it or not, your healing still heals that maternal bloodline indirectly. And your healing is for you first. I don't care what nobody says. I want to heal for me. This is my life.
On here.
I want to know how it feels to live my life as a healed woman. Because I've been working so damn long. I want my healing to be for me. Anybody outside of that, you benefit from that. And that includes my kids. Yeah. It's a benefit. So when I heal, it's for me. And it's fueled by my kids because I want something different for them. But it's for me first. And then
I absolutely understand.
Bloodline from the past and the future, I'm glad about that. And then globally, it's a global impact as well.
Let me ask you this question also. The women that you work with and that you are talking to, through your business or what have you, have you experienced that there's a level of guilt that they carry because of what their mother did?
It's always, every time I talk to daughters, and sometimes I have to decide how I'm gonna say it because sometimes I'm scared. Because I don't ever want to push nobody to where I think they should be. But sometimes it's like, because it's always, I know my mama loved me. Oh, I love my mama, but you don't need no caveat. Just say what she did. It's always like they feel like they have to state that they love their mama, or they know their mama love me, or their mama been through some things. Oh, but I forgive her though. And to me, the forgiveness thing is so, it's like a fake flex. Like, everybody want to show that they so healed. And what's the thing to heal? Oh, forgive. You forgive. Right. It's like, oh, I'm healed. And it's like a fake flex. I really don't think people really be forgiving anything, and they don't really know what forgiveness is. And they be rushed into it so much that they don't even get a chance to properly do it correctly. Right. And they just want to hand it out to everybody. And really, to be honest, my mama don't deserve my forgiveness. And whether I forgive her or not, it ain't her business, because I don't got to tell her. And that's how I know that most women really don't forgive their mama. And that's how I knew that when I said I forgive my mama back then, I really didn't, because I wanted to call and tell her.
Okay.
It was a way of showing that I've healed from you. But if I got to call you and tell you when you didn't ask for my mama didn't never ask for my forgiveness. She looking at me like, what the hell you forgive me for? Because I ain't do nothing. So she still ain't even apologetic for what she did, let alone admitting that she did it. But I'm calling her to tell her I forgive her for something that she never even asked for or even admitted to or acknowledged. So that lets me know that you really haven't forgive. You probably did some work and come to some realization and may be on the path. But if you gotta call your mom and tell her, which always starts a whole other argument.
Oh, another one.
Call this lady and tell her you forgive her out the blue. She ain't asked for it. She gonna cuss you out again. So now your feelings back hurt. You see that she really ain't forgiven because her words still hurt you.
That's the truth.
You like crap. So they always feel guilty, especially if their mother died. Okay. And that's a whole nother thing, because it's like you didn't have a mother when she was alive, and now it's like it's for certain that you're not gonna have a mother because she's dead and you never got amends. And they feel bad. They feel bad admitting that they're glad that she's dead, because like the stress is gone. They feel bad because it's like they're never gonna have a mom. They feel bad because now they're really scared to talk about what happened because you don't speak bad on the dead.
Right.
And it's so it's like it's this guilt because now the mother's dead, and women feel bad too because their mom is old.
And but now like, you feel like whatever you were thinking, now you really can't say it.
And especially if you're getting older and your mother is aging, because it's always that possibility you have to take care of your mama possibly. And then there's some women that live with their mama still because circumstance happened, they went back, and the mother, of course, I've heard so many stories about mothers spitting in their daughter's face, like in their mouth. And I hear stories from women that's in their 60s. Like, so if you're in your 60s and your mama like 80, 90 years old, still alive and still running them, I mean, they still nasty women. And that's how I'm saying, like, that's how you can't be talking about they tried their best. They old in the mud, still causing hell to the kid that they need to wipe their butt.
Yeah.
And then when they go to that deathbed though, and that's when I'm preparing myself on what I'm going to do, because that's how I have a feeling that's how it's going to be with my mother. She's going to be on her deathbed and she's going to ask for my forgiveness. And I think that is so unfair to a lot of daughters, because the daughter's been there, been around, and for the most part, been open and waiting for you. But now that you're about to die and you're scared, and you think about the afterlife and, all that stuff, which is natural because when you die, you sort of think about put things in perspective, but you're still using that daughter and her emotions and her relationship with you, because the daughter always does her part. The daughter always play her position. Even she hate her mother, for the most part, they'll still play their position. Even if it's just sending money to the nursing home or something. For the most part, most daughters play their position. They really don't have to, but they play their position. And then she's forced to not forgive you and feeling bad because you're about to die, and it's not fair. It's not fair because we all know we're going to die someday. And if you're older than me, 9 times out of 10, you might die before me.
Yeah. And I really wanted to address this because, I'm like you, I'm sick of hearing all about, you got to honor your mother and father. You got to, no matter what they do, you got to forgive them. And, because at some point, I'm sorry, I got an earache that's coming from the toothache. At some point, a person has to take responsibility for their own action. And I think about even with Shantae, she doesn't have children, but she's helping take care of her nieces because their mothers are not, maybe the mother's not available, the father's not available, whatever. So it's like you said earlier, she may not have given birth to them, but she's mothering them. And even with that, she has a responsibility to love those children and treat them the way that they should be treated, because it's not their fault that their parents are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And it's like you said earlier, a lot of times we find mothers who take out on their children stuff that somebody else did to them. But I can't help it that you slept with all these men and now you're not even really sure who the baby daddy is. I mean, I don't have nothing to do with that. I didn't ask to be here, but I'm here. And there's something you owe me because you brought me here. And you know, my son teases me all the time, and he's 20-some years old now, but if he'll call me and ask me, Mom, you got $10? And I'm like, no, I don't have no $10, boy, blah, blah, blah. You work every day. And then he'll say, okay, I didn't ask to be here. And we like joke about it. But there are some people who really, some children and daughters especially, because like you say, and I heard somebody say this, I don't remember who it is, but same-sex children have a bond with the same-sex parent. Like a daughter and a mother, there's a bond there that is. And so whatever that mother does to that daughter, she feels it 1,000 times worse.
Than you see yourself in each other. You're a mirror of each other. Which is why I think some mothers abuse their daughter, because it's a mirror of them, whether it's good or bad. And then why so many daughters hold on to their mother, because if my mama's like this, am I gonna be like this? If I say my mama ain't sugar, honey, iced tea, I used to think that. That's why I didn't like to tell people about bad things about my mother, because I'm speaking bad on her. What does that make me if I came from her? And it's like, it's no separation in the identity almost, because it's like, that's your identity. She's who you're supposed to aspire to be. Right. She's the one that's supposed to teach you how to be. So and that was my hope. If I could just help my mama heal. Like I thought it was my job to take on that load from my mom. I felt like it made me strong. And I took that into other relationships. It makes me strong because you're weak, so that you can dump on me however you please, because I can take it. And maybe one day she'll finally see my pain, and maybe one day she'll heal. Because if she starts to heal, then that means I can see what it is to be a healed woman, and that'll make me heal. But it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. And there are some cases where some mothers and daughters can make amends. And I think that's great. That's not my goal, because for a lot of daughters, it's not. My goal is for the daughter to do what she needs to do and to heal. And if that, because whether you heal, whether your mother comes around or not, if she does come around, if the daughter isn't healed, but the mother did the healing, it won't work. Because the daughter's going to be resentful of the mother healing. It's like, it's going to be as if you didn't do nothing to me. How dare you be better while I'm over here suffering at the hands of you for what you did to me. So even if you plan on having a relationship with your mother, you have to heal to be prepared, whether she comes or if she doesn't come around.
That's right. That's why I said earlier, the healing is about you. It's not about your mother. Like if your mother gets healed, that's wonderful. But we're focusing on you getting healed, so that whether she comes to you or doesn't come to you, that you'll be healed and have a healthy life. Shante, did you have something else you want to say?
I was going to say, I think for my situation, my healing is causing my mom to heal, because I feel like I never had a bad relationship with my mom. So like, I can't really say, like some of the things that you experienced. I feel like my healing is going to heal my mom, because my mom came up in the era where you wasn't able to speak about a lot of things that you went through. So I feel like, and even like seeing my mom beat, all through the years or whatever, through like relationships and things like that. I feel like now with me having a voice through speaking up more for domestic violence or speaking up more for abuse, is helping my mom to heal. Whereas I see like, you and your mom had that relationship, but I feel like me and my mom are getting closer through the healing of me, like through my healing from seeing the abuse and seeing what my mom went through, and knowing like, I don't want to go through that, or I don't want to face this. My issues more so came from my dad. So like, I'm trying to be that person to heal in my family, to be able to say like, you are able to heal from these situations. You are able to come from these situations. Although we learned this, we were taught this, but we are able to change and go away from that. Cause like, that's my whole thing, is like a lot of things we were taught or learned, like we knew in error or what we were taught. So it's like, being able to change from that. And I feel like that's giving my mom some healing that she needed, because like I said, I feel like she didn't have a voice, and I feel like I'm a voice for her in my healing. So I appreciate this conversation. I'm just telling you, I really appreciate this conversation. but I really feel like I'm giving my mom healing, because like even now she don't speak about it much, but I can just tell like she's so proud. And then not only that, but I just feel like it gives her like a sense of relief from what she went through. So and speaking up about it more, you know, being able to free more women, being able to free more girls, I think is freeing her from what she went through when she didn't have that voice. So being as though I'm in her bloodline, I feel like it's giving her that voice that she didn't have, kind of like when she was silence. And so I feel like that's giving her the voice now. So again, I just appreciate this conversation.
Thank
This is
you.
needed,
And
Miss
it's
Jamie and
definitely
Sharissa. This is
generational.
needed.
That's definitely
This is needed.
generational ancestral healing, because
Yes.
they did not have the ability or the, you know,
Yes.
to be able to speak. So our speaking does heal the that's just like with anything, like having the first Black president, that healed a lot
Yes.
of past stuff. It didn't fix it,
Yes.
still caused some issues today, but that was still a piece of healing. And
Absolutely.
it is very true. But I always do tell women that my story is like
Your story.
on a
Absolutely.
high end. And some of the women that I work with, I do focus a lot on the women that have been like severely traumatized. Like I have stories like women being raped by their mama, or their mama knew they was getting raped by men. So my story is on like the high end. But
Right.
and I'm not saying you in particular, but I do tell women that sometimes the healing may be on a small scale. Because I know that women that have great relationships with their mothers, but sometimes the things that your mother may have taught you, you have to heal from that, just because it's not your belief. It was a belief that was given to you.
That's true.
Like how beating your kids. You may be like, you know what? I love my mama. She may be telling me that I need to beat my kids or do this for my kids, but you may not agree with that. That's
Absolutely.
that's still a form of healing, because
Right.
now you're creating your own legacy. So it doesn't have to be as extreme as my case. It could just be like little small things, like even just a woman saying all men are dogs, because she probably got dogged out by a lot of men, but you had a good mama, you had a good bond. But you don't want to take that with you, because you know if you keep saying all men are dogs, you're probably going to end up attracting the same dogs.
Yes.
So you have to heal from that belief and think about what it is that you need and what makes sense to us. And then, and how you really know you have a good mother. She ends up, even if she don't respect it at first, she comes around. Because sometimes if we do things that's different than our elders before, they don't always, they're not always happy about it. They're like, that don't make sense. So why are you doing like that? Because they come from a different generation than us. But in that, eventually they usually come around. That's how you know you have a healthy relationship, because they respect it.
That's right.
They support you, even they don't agree with it, because they start to see like, dang, you have options that I didn't have.
That I didn't have.
Or I'm gonna allow, even though I don't agree with it, I'm gonna allow you to live your life because you're an adult.
Yeah. So how do women reach out to you? How do they get in touch with you if they are dealing with these situations that they want help with learning how to heal themselves?
So they can follow me on Facebook, Sharisa Robertson. I need to really, and it's like I sometimes scale back. I know you will see me post a lot, and I'll stop posting. It's because I had this battle sometimes, like, am I overdoing it? And I question myself even when I'm doing what I'm doing. Like, am I leading women the wrong way? Maybe I'm wrong. I take healing very serious. I never want to lead anybody the wrong way. That's why I say it's my insight. You know, everything may not be for you what I say, but I know I said something. It could be one thing.
Right.
Take it and then throw the rest in your back pocket or throw it away. Because some things you have to work your way to, because healing is in layers. You may not be ready to say, you know what, F my mama. But you can protect yourself when you know you got to be around her, or you can just decide to screen your calls. Like, I'm not going to answer the phone today, because you feel obligated honoring your mother. You got to constantly take her phone calls. You know, she yelling at you or cussing you out, or criticizing you. And you can say, you know, today I'm not going to answer the phone.
Exactly. Good.
So it's baby steps, and it's a process, because it's hard doing all these things. So I always try to be careful. So I'll post a lot and I won't post. I'm like, I just make sure that I'm doing the right thing. And because sometimes I feel like I did a lot of healing, but sometimes, you know, those emotions kick in or things happen, and I'm like, I have to make sure I'm not acting from any type of bitterness. Because even though my bitterness can be justified, you have to be careful with that and work through that, because you don't want to spew it on other people and tell them something wrong because of my personal experience. Or what I think they should do, because all mothers ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I have to always be careful. So I always take breaks, for one, because it's heavy work too. The work is
absolutely.
And the stories that I hear or just talking about it, it feels heavy a lot of times. So I have to take breaks. But I'm always on social media, Sharisa Robertson. I have a website, nothing's really on there, but it's there. You can always contact me.
I know the feeling. I need to get to work on mine.
And excuse me, everybody, because my business has a cuss word in it, but it's unmotherfuckyourself.com. And I'm also on, like, Instagram and stuff like that. And I do have a podcast. I said I'm going to start back podcasting. So I'm working on the second season. So if you go to the website, you'll be able to stay up to date with that. Or just follow me on Facebook.
Awesome. Well, I definitely, once I share this to Facebook, I'm going to put in your contact information, and then make sure I share it with you so you can share it to your page as well. But I'm just really glad that we had this conversation, because one of the things I want to do with this platform is to talk about subjects that people are uncomfortable with, the things that we're whispering about that need to be said out loud. The things that we're saying behind the closed door that we need to be saying in the middle of the street, because people's lives are being destroyed and people's lives are being ruined, and people are living lives completely miserable and unhealed, and they don't have to. And so if people don't want to, address it, that's their business. But this is my show. So if they don't have to listen to it.
I love your story. Thank you.
I am so glad that you came, and I didn't y'all pray for me, because I'm supposed to get this out Tuesday. I can't hardly wait. But I didn't have an abusive relationship with my mother as far as cursing at me, hitting and stuff like that, but I had a disconnected relationship with my mom. And it always used to amaze me, because people that knew my mom, she was a pastor, my dad was a pastor, and all I kept hearing about my whole life was what great people they were. And especially my mom, and how she was so loving, and everybody just loved Pastor Green and blah, blah, blah. And I just kept trying to figure out why I couldn't get that reaction from her that other people were getting. And then toward the end of her life, when she got sick with Alzheimer's, and I was the one that was living with them, had to take care of her and my dad. And I often asked myself, how did I end up having to be the one here to take care of her, when I know that if she had a choice, it would not have been me here. But in that last year of her life, we did bond a little more, whatever. But it was it wasn't the abusive, like you say, physically or whatever, but it's what you said earlier, it was a disconnected relationship. I don't ever remember, and I'll be 60 years old this year. My mother's been dead 10 years now, so I was 50 when she died. But I don't ever remember my whole life with my mother feeling that great maternal connection. I never, ever felt that. And so I understand the honor your mother no matter what thing, but I used to would not even say what I just said, because it felt like I was disrespecting her, or I was dishonoring her, because everybody else had all these great stories to tell about her. And it's just been in the last few years that I've been able to say I loved her and I respected her position and who she was or whatever, but I never felt close to her at all. Never. I don't remember that at all. So, people can say it's dishonoring or whatever. I don't really care, but
I feel like it can be both. Healing is a duality. You can say my mother went with this and she did this. It can be both. They can both exist. I can understand that my mother, even though I don't know all her story, I can understand my mother she had to go through some stuff to turn out the way she was, unless she was born a horrible person. But I'm going to assume that something happened, or a lot of some things happened. So I can say, even about knowing her story, that she has a story also. And just like I said, even just my experience, I saw at 15, I was able to empathize. I didn't know that's what I was doing, but I was like, she's a single mom, her and my dad divorced, he cheated on her, you know what I'm saying? So I'm pretty sure she, it's a lot of hurt, so she's acting out on that hurt, or she's running away from that hurt. And even her lashing out, sometimes it may have been in her shame. So I was able to figure that out at 15. So it's not that, like a sympathy, because we're trying to figure out our mothers, because we, you want to try to make it right. But it can be both. You can be a great creator, but because most famous people that we love so much, there are dark stories about them. And
Absolutely.
it can be both. People act like it can't be both. It can. I can say I love my mother and I hate her. I can, because I can love my mama but still hate her and be justified in it. Now I gotta work
because
with that
nobody
hate.
knows the backstory.
And so many daughters don't even get to say they hate their mama, because if you say you hate your mama, oh my God. And guess what? They never work through the hate because they can't even admit the hate. So what are they gonna do in that hate? They're gonna lash out, because you're gonna meet your mama everywhere you go. She gonna show up at work through people. She gonna show up at the girl in the drive-through, your neighbors, your relationships. It's gonna show up your kids. That mother is gonna show up everywhere. But we'll talk about daddies all day long. And I know why, because the mothers usually stay. And what it is, most mothers, they don't physically leave, but they emotionally check out.
Yes.
And that's
say that.
And that's where it happened. And I know that because I'm a mother and I've emotionally checked out a lot of times.
Yeah, me too.
Even with everything that I know, I still check out because it's a lot going on in the world. And I got a lot going on in my life, and you be stressed.
Yes.
So it takes a lot to make yourself be present. It takes a lot to make yourself admit that you was wrong. And sometimes it takes a lot to like, listen, kids, I'm being an asshole, and I don't care right now. Listen, write a book about me later. But right now, it's how I'm feeling.
Right.
Because I'm working through something.
Yes.
And it is, I'm human. So, even when I know I'm like not being correct, I can say, like, I'm not being right. So let me be. Because I don't want
right. I need my space. I need my space. Back up.
Catch these words now. You're going to catch them. I told you, you're going to catch them.
Yes.
And I don't care. So it's like, just being honest. And I know a lot of mothers didn't have that room to be honest, or they were scared because you be honest about you being tired, you're not strong. Especially if you're a Black woman, oh, you're not strong, you can't make it because you had to be strong. You had to, I feel like my resilience has been pimped out to the max. Like, I'm taking back my resilience. Like, I don't want to be resilient. It's got to be there when I need it, but it's been pimped out so much.
Yes.
Like, I need to feel, I need to rest.
That's right.
And I need to feel, and I feel like I can have ease too.
That's right.
Sometimes in my life, like I'm old at. So it just be writing things for our mothers' mothers, and just also creating our own stuff on our own end, and still being human. So it can be both. My mama was this, but she was also this.
Right.
And
right.
This, but this still happened.
That's right.
I thank Miss Jamie for that. I thank Miss Jamie for that, because she really taught me that to feel the emotion, but don't stay there. Because a lot of times as Black women, we are taught to just be strong. You handle what comes to you. You in the moment, but you still be strong throughout it. You can't show emotion. You can't be this. You can't be that. She's taught me feel the emotion, let it know how you feel. Let them know how you feel, and then go on. But before, we would just feel the emotion. We go on, we go on, we go on. We act so strong, and then what happens? We break in the middle of it, and then it's like you have this breakdown, and then you got these people counting on you, and you're broken, like you're so down, you can't even offer yourself anything. So how are you going to offer these people anything? How are you going to offer your kids anything? So it's like she's taught me that, and I'm telling you, like, to really feel the emotion, be able to speak through the emotion, and then work through it has been the greatest thing. So like, I really thank you guys for this conversation, because like, it really is needed. It really is needed. Thank you, Ms. Jamie. I love you.
I'm so glad that you were able to join us today. I really am.
It was good.
Yes, this is really good. It really needs to be taught, shared like 1,000 times, million times. Like, it really does. Like, a lot of people don't get it. And again, like she said, we always look at the fathers as like being, like deadbeat or whatever. But a lot of times it's the mothers. The mothers can be present, but they still can be deadbeat, even, emotionally or whatever. Like, it's really true. So like, this message really needs to get out. I love you guys. Thank you. I need this.
Well, I'm glad you joined us. And I'm so glad that, Sharisa, we finally got a chance to talk.
Yes, years.
Yeah, I've been wanting to do this for a while, and we're going to do it again, because it definitely is something that needs to be addressed on a large scale, like large scale, because I mean, hundreds and thousands of daughters are adults now, and they're still suffering from childhood traumas that they received at the hands of the person that gave birth to them. And I tell people all the time, just because you give birth, you have the physical ability to give birth doesn't mean you can be a good mother. Because dogs give birth all the time, and then they'll walk off and leave their puppies, or they eat some of them, or whatever. So just because you gave birth doesn't mean you automatically that you're a perfect mother. So I'm gonna let you ladies go, but oh my God, I've enjoyed this. It really blessed me.
Good.
It really touched me and brought some things to my mind that I need to address as well. And one of the things that really sticks in my head is that even as you are doing your work, and I believe this is your purpose. And as I said at the beginning, that's one of the things I've been given this nickname as the purpose advocate. Because I really like look at people and try to find out what their purpose is and help move them toward that. But you're already there. And it blesses me to hear you say that even as I'm helping these other women, I still have areas that I'm working on for myself that really touched me, because sometimes people want to put that pressure on you because you can help them with certain things, then all of your whole life is straight and everything's perfect, and that's not true. As long as we're living, we still have areas that we can work on.
Definitely. And I get that sometimes. Well, wait till you become a mom. I'm like, I am a mama, and I make mistakes. And I actually want to do a documentary, and I'm trying to figure out how to do it. I do want to talk to other women, but I was talking to my daughters. I'm like, I think I want to do it with y'all, and we have a real conversation about where I went wrong. To think, because it's because I'm a mother, but I'm a daughter and a mother.
Yeah.
And I do want to start working with more women because they're overwhelmed, and we can start working, because I do believe the daughters are what's going to cause the healing. But if we can catch some of these mothers right now that's overwhelmed, that's at their end, maybe we can intervene and stop them from abusing and stop that break that's in these mother and daughter relationships.
Come on here.
So we need some intervention, we need some prevention, some intervention, and wherever we are right now, because some daughters need to move on. But there are a lot of mothers, and most times, like I said, they were abused too, that needs that support and needs to know, like, you can not be perfect. Just, you don't have to sacrifice your kids, but you don't have to sacrifice yourself either.
Yeah.
And just find what works for them. So, and I get that, like, well, what about you? So I was like, maybe I'm gonna do the documentary. They're trying to decide they want to do it. And I'm like, you can be as honest as you want to. Now,
how old are your daughters?
They're 18 and 15. And I told them, if it ever gets to the point where I'm hurting and abusing you, and there's nothing you can do about it, I'm not listening. I said, you have all rights to leave me. I said, you have all rights to be done with me. If you gave it your all, and I'm intervening on your welfare, on your well-being. I said, I may not say that then. I said, I may not say that then, maybe a different story in my pain, and that's where I'm at that time. I was like, but you have all rights to walk away. If it comes down to between you and me, choose you.
God choose you.
I said, not on some, because I'm trying to help you, but on some, I'm being absolutely abusive to you, and it's hurting. And so we already had that conversation, because who am I to tell other women what to do and tell other daughters, but I'm not talking to my own daughters and being real with them about anything that I don't think I would do, but you never know what might happen.
That's right.
10, 15 years. And I want to know, you have all rights, because nobody told me I had the right.
Absolutely.
Nobody never even.
Wow, that's powerful.
They already know. And I know my kids, because kids are going to love their parents unconditionally. Love me from afar, pray for me from afar, but get far.
Do your life, right?
I love that. That right there is a perfect way to end this, because I like that. I like that, because
I gotta write that down too.
Yeah, write that down.
Yes.
I need to write that down. Shantae, write it down.
I don't got no pen with me right now.
Okay, well, every time you come on my thing or Bible study or anything, you're supposed to have a pen.
Church to my head.
Anyway, I'm just messing, but yeah, that was powerful. I like that, because that whole trying to make people feel guilty, and you stay with me. I don't care what I do to you. If I crack your head open, you still stay, no matter, wait for me to crack the other side. That's craziness. And oh man, I love that. Wow. All right, I'm gonna let you ladies go. And again, I just appreciate you so much taking time out.
Thank you.
Talk with me today, and we will definitely do it again. Definitely.
I appreciate it. Thank you, ladies, for listening to me and giving me
You've
this
been
space to do
awesome.
this.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Let me know if you do the documentary.
I've been saying it for the past 7 years. I'm gonna go ahead and do it.
Okay.
7 minutes completion. Come on here.
Definitely.
I love you, ladies. Thank you.
Love you.
Bye-bye.
Good night,
All right.
ladies.
Good
Good
night.
night.